This is the Pink Lifestyle Podcast. Rebranded, updated, and now based on the practice of mindfulness. It is my mission to guide and coach women toward a pink lifestyle. Purposeful, intentional, natural, and kind. We'll do this by discussing topics such as image and presence enrichment, integrative self-care, health and wellness, mindful thinking, and spiritual awareness. I am your host, Karen Bannister, and I am a certified image consultant and life coach. My opinions and insights are based on scientific research, personal experiences, and my own intuitive power, and will help your physical representation awaken and represent your inner strength and self-image. You can contact me on my website, KarenKBannister.com, or email pinklifestylepodcast@gmail.com. I invite you to follow and connect with me on social media channels as the Pink Lifestyle Podcast. This podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and others. Thank you for listening, and your journey toward finding your personal inner power begins now.
Hello and welcome to the Pink Lifestyle Podcast once again, where we are in pursuit of a purposeful, intentional, natural, and kind life. And as you know, my goal with this podcast is to introduce you to others who are experts in their fields. So today I would like to introduce you to one such expert, Lizzy Renee Carlin. She is, like myself, is passionate about helping improve people's lives. Her focus is on natural living and reducing exposure to toxins and chemicals found in our environment, in processed food, personal care products, and medicines. She was first inspired to keep her family above the wellness line by using plant-based approaches when possible. She believes in modern medicine, but instead of it being her first resort, it is her second or third. She first attempts to find a more holistic approach to her family's wellness. And this journey led her to begin researching CBD in 2017, and she was instantly intrigued by the positive results that people were getting. And since then, she has become a CBD advocate and educator, earning her CBD certification in April of 2019. She has also successfully launched Love at First Drop, an LLC e-commerce website to bring high-quality, affordable CBD products to market. She loves joining her clients on their CBD journeys and is inspired by the transformation she sees in their lives as they avoid or reduce dependency on pharmaceuticals. Lizzy's mission is to help demystify CBD and cannabis through education and inspire others to live a healthier, plant-based lifestyle. What's really cool is her new book, 52 Tips Using CBD for Your Health and Wellness, is an Amazon #1 bestseller. Welcome, Lizzy Renee. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. I'm so looking forward to hearing your story and, more details of how you got involved in the CBD industry.
Yeah, so a little bit, thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that. I'm really excited to be here, and hopefully I can help to inspire some of your pink ladies and listeners that just about how we can, use Mother Nature to our benefit and decrease like you said, the toxins and chemicals that we introduce into our environment. Right. When you really do a little bit of research, there's so many chemicals in all of our products. And the scary thing is that if you look at when they started regulating all of this, it was like years ago. It was, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but it's years ago that they enacted the acts that, these chemicals, blah, blah, blah. And they really the government has done nothing to look at the term fragrance and whatnot. And if you look at, there's like tens of thousands, I want to say it was 15 or 17,000 different chemicals that are under that fragrance umbrella. Oh, so it's really interesting when you and I apologize. I mean, we're here to talk about CBD, but part of why I went down this path is because I realized, wow, there's a lot of stuff. And cancer is on the rise, or so many things that, so many people are sick. And
Right.
I personally feel, and this is a personal thing, that our medical industry is all about just giving you a prescription. And so they, here, we'll give you a prescription. And a lot of it doesn't necessarily fix the problem. It just kind of puts a Band-Aid on it. And then the number one thing as I've gotten into this industry that I hear from my clients is all of the side effects. I know I've had some side effects to pharmaceuticals, but it's like you don't think about it until you start talking to, you widen your breadth of who you're talking to, and it's like, oh my gosh, so just I'm seeing so many people that are on a medication. I call it the daisy chain of medications. I'm going to take this medication for my stomach and it gives you a headache, and you take a medication for your headache and it, you break out on a rash, and then you're taking something for the rash and it gives you anxiety, and kind of that chain can go on and on.
Right.
And that's a big part of why I do what I do and why I love doing this is because I'm watching the CBD product really transform people's lives, and it's freeing them of things that either their medication or whatever they're trying to help themselves feel better from, starting to feel better and really changing their lives. I have a friend who, she's a client, she's become a friend, who has fibromyalgia, and she was bedridden a lot, like half the month. She would just feel so terrible that she would just not get out of bed. And since she's been taking CBD, she has a day like that every so often, like she has flare-ups, but the flare-ups have just decreased so much that she's just feeling better on a regular basis, and she feels like she's gotten her life back, and there's no side effects.
Oh, that's fabulous. I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah, me too. So my book, 52 Tips, was inspired by my clients and my friends that have started using CBD and getting great results from it, and her testimonials in here. So the last half of the book is testimonials, and the beginning part is help to really demystify what CBD is, what it isn't, all the different types. Like when somebody wants to get started with CBD, they're always overwhelmed. There's so much information. Do I want drops? Do I want gummies? How do they work? What is 1,000 milligram? What is 500 milligram? What do I need? And just a quick tip: nobody takes 1,000 milligrams a day. It's the whole bottle, and there's just a lot of. Yeah. So, but people are like, oh, I have 1,000 milligram. Well, if your bottle is this big, and my 500 bottle is this big, mine's more concentrated. So I'm taking more in a day than the person who has got the big bottle with 1,000 in it.
Oh my God.
So my book covers all that kind of stuff so that you can start to understand, okay, now I can be an informed shopper. So that's about the inspiration of my book. I know you asked about me personally. No,
I want to hear it all. That it's all connected. I want to hear it all. I mean, from everything from your story to writing your book to what stops people from using CBD, and I'm here to learn as much as my listeners, because I have, I'm curious, so I'm sure you have the answer. So sure,
and I can talk CBD all day, so keep me on target. My background, I'm an older mom. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I'm in my mid-40s. So I am in the classified older mom, and I have a 15-year-old from when I was younger, still older, but not as old as I am now. And one of the things that I kind of started to have those internal, everything from sadness, anxiety, however you want to describe it, the fear of not being here when my little ones need me. So, I'm going to be in my 60s when they're graduating high school, and I know it when I look back in my life. Obviously, I needed my kids when I needed my parents when I was little, but I still, in my 40s, I rely on my parents all the time when I'm making big decisions. You lean into their life experience to just make decisions for yourself. And I have a great relationship with both my parents, and they're in their 70s, and I want to live much past my 70s to be able to be a resource for my children as they are getting married and having kids of their own and buying houses and, needing career advice, whatever it is. I want to be here. And that fear and anxiety after my first one was born, at my 5-year-old, when he was first born, it started to increase. I started to notice that I had this fear of not being there for him when he needs me as an adult. And I have found out that I'm not alone. I'm in those moms groups on Facebook, and it's a big thing for all of us. Like, we're very worried about not being here for our children when we want to live a very ripe, healthy, long life to, I guess, reduce the guilt of having our kids so late in life. I don't know. That's a whole top.
I don't know. I mean, I'm 51. My son is 22, and I still, because so I was almost 30, but I still have that fear. I mean, he's still he's still young, and I know that's why I was making lifestyle and health changes in my life, because I want to be here. So that's very common.
10 years.
Yeah.
10 years to that anxiety. That's where I live. But that's what's kind of started my wellness journey, is that, okay, I'm going to live a healthier lifestyle. I'm going to try and remove the toxins. Now, I'm not the type of person who's like 100%, I'm only eating organic, 100%, I'm only, because you can't live life. Like, you can't go into a restaurant and eat at a restaurant if you're going to be strictly organic, because most places aren't organic. And so I view it as in my home, and when I'm making decisions about what we're doing every day, about medication, when to go to the doctor, when not to go to the doctor, I'm looking at that stuff very holistically, made those changes in my home. But if my kid's at a birthday party and they want a cupcake that's got colored frosting on the top of it, I'm not going to ruin their day. So that's just letting people understand where I'm at. I understand some people just don't let their kids eat that, and that's totally okay too. I'm trying to live that balance and walk that tightrope and be as clean as I can at home, recognizing that a very large percent of the time when we are not at home, we're not going to be able to be as careful. So that is the whole thing that led me down the path that I went on. And initially I actually started, and I still adore and love my essential oils. And what I learned about essential oils is there's good product out there and there's bad product out there. And you need to be using the high quality, good product that's pure in order to get the results that you want. So I have a cabinet of my 100 essential oils, and that gets used on a very regular basis as well. And then as my daughter, my youngest, who's 3 now, this was it was just after her first birthday. She was probably about 15 months at the time. I started to get the worst sciatica. I had never had sciatica before, and I was getting that sciatica pain shooting from like just below my hip all the way to the back of my knee. And it never failed. She was a late walker. So she wouldn't get up. I had to bend all the way down to pick her up, and she was a good baby eater. So she was heavy. She wasn't moving much. So she was this very big, heavy baby. And I'd go to pick her up, and boom, that shoot of pain would go right down my leg. And it was like, okay, I can't do this. Like, I'm going to drop her. And so I was like, okay, so I go into my essential oils cabinet, and I'm trying to figure out every single essential oil that I have. I'm reading up on it, trying to figure out how to fix this. I end up seeing a chiropractor, physical therapy. Nothing was really working. Seriously, the only thing that would work is stretching. Ended up being like 20 minutes a day, 3 times a day, which that only lasts so long before you just don't have time for that. I'm chasing 2 kids around. I have at the time a 10-year-old. Right. I was like, I don't have time to. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to make an appointment with a doctor. So I get an appointment with a doctor, and my now 15-year-old, he actually has ADHD, and I'm in all of those moms groups. On Facebook, and I'm learning about, I had been learning about CBD for many months before this event happened. And a friend of mine mentioned, hey, have you tried, go to lunch, we're having a talk, we're chit-chatting, and I'm telling her about this terrible sciatica and my essential oils aren't working. And she's like, have you thought about CBD? And I was like, no. And I'm thinking, gosh, I'm considering trying to give it to my son. I should, the typical mom syndrome, we don't think about us.
Yeah, right. Yes, I'm sure a lot of us out there can relate. Yes.
Right. So I was like, I should give this a try. So I did my research, and I found a bottle of CBD that I was really happy with, but I was very nervous about the stigma around cannabis. And I was like, oh, I've got kids to take care of. I'm thinking, I can't be stoned and having the munchies while taking care of this family and all my other responsibilities. This is just not this doesn't add up in my responsible mommy brain. Like, I just shouldn't be doing this. And so I learned, the thing that I learned from, again, doing a lot of research, and it's not all there. And that's one of the things that I offer my clients is I hold their hands through this, what I call trial and error process. So I help them to figure out what it is that you need to take and whatnot, and how much and whatnot. So I bought what's called a 500 milligram bottle. When you have CBD, they package it based on, and they talk about it based on the entire package when you're dealing with drops. And that comes from the fact that you're not guaranteeing how much an individual serving is, right? You can take a little bit, you can take a lot. So they just tell you what's in the whole bottle, and then you get to divvy it up yourselves. When it comes to edibles and things that are already pre-portioned, they'll give you a per item. So a gummy is 20 or 25 milligrams.
Okay.
But the bottles, for some reason, the entire industry, they just put the entire thing, and it just confuses the heck out of people. So I first get started, and I'm taking a half of, so this is a bottle of CBD.
Okay. And it's just, they just tell you how much is in there. They don't tell you how many drops is in a serving, right?
Yep.
For lack of a better term.
Right. So this is a 500 milligram bottle. And then because it's an unregulated industry, there's no consistency in how the bottles are labeled. There's also no consistency or guarantee what's in the bottle because it's not regulated. So my book covers a whole chapter on how you know you're getting a high quality product. So one of the big things is third-party lab results. You want some other company testing the product and access to those results. Some companies make it transparent. Here's the lab results. If I tell you this is a 250 milligram bottle, that's what it is. And we've tested the whole vat kind of thing, or the entire batch. And then the batch date gets put on the bottle. So they're not expiration dates. They're because people are like, wait, this is expired. The date, no, it's a batch date. It's when it was bottled. That's important.
See how programmed we all are? Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's probably the number one question I get. I got my bottle. It's expired. I'm like, no, it's not expired. That's when it was packaged. And that's the only way that you know. You look at the data on here, and you compare that to the date on the lab results, because you want those dates. You want the batch date.
So you have to take the product that you get and then go to a third-party lab report. I'm assuming online, right?
Yeah, and the companies, the really reputable companies, will make those lab results available on their website. You either have to look up your batch date, or or it might be that they haven't updated the new ones. You send them an email and they'll get it to you. Like, it's just about being able to see a lab result before it comes and make sure that you can get something when your bottle comes to verify. But any company who's offering their lab results up front is generally, they're reputable. The other companies will say, well, we'll get you the lab results, but that's after you get your product. As soon as you place your order, we'll get you the lab results. So for me, that's better, but I would rather see the lab results, something from the company, even if it might not be my exact bottle. At least they're showing me something. And then you have some companies who don't test at all. And I'm sure a lot of listeners out there that have been following the cannabis industry have heard those stories. They're covered on, the local news, or, special reports where we tested 50 different products and only 3 of them actually had CBD in them. And that's the number one most unfortunate thing right now in the industry, is that there's so many people trying to make a quick buck. They throw the label on, they say what it is that people would be looking for. They buy it, and it might be hemp oil, which hemp oil and CBD oil, people don't always understand that there's a difference. So hemp oil comes from the seed of the marijuana plant, just like avocado oil and sunflower oil all comes from the seeds. And hemp, the CBD, is an extraction from the whole plant, and that's where there are health benefits from hemp oil. And one of the things I love about my product is that it is packed in hemp oil, so you don't take just CBD by itself. You take it with it's kind of put in a carrier oil of some sort.
That's nice.
Yeah, most companies tend to use like a coconut oil, MCT type of thing.
My next question. Okay.
Yeah. But it can be packed in anything, really. And there are, extra little benefits that hemp gives you. And I love that the product I get, it's 100% hemp. Everything's in here. There's nothing, there's even no flavoring, and it tastes like, So I'm not going to say, ooh, yummy, it tastes like candy, because it doesn't, but it tastes like wheatgrass without the sweetness. You know how wheatgrass has kind of like that sweet end to it? It's just that's gone. And the flavor dissipates really fast. Like when you put it under your tongue and you hold it there. And the reason you put it under your tongue is that you have mucous membranes, really thin mucous membranes under your tongue. So you're getting direct absorption into your bloodstream. So the gummies and the edibles, you eat them and they go through your stomach and through your digestive system, and it's going to break down, and it's not going to get into the bloodstream as quickly, and it's not going to get in as effectively. So a lot of times people who are using an edible, they have to take a higher dose, because it just your body can't. You just can't get it. You can't get it out. Your body isn't effective as getting it. So I personally love the drops. I feel like it's the best way to get it into your body and have the least amount of losing the product, basically. So, and it's the fastest working. So back to the quality. I was looking for quality product. We talked about lab results. We talked about what it's packed in. We talked about wanting CBD. One of the things that's really confusing about CBD too, excuse me, something in my eye, is that you have a hemp plant. And the hemp plant has the buds and the flowers just like a marijuana plant. So they're the same genus and species, but they're different strains. They've been grown over time under different conditions, where people who want recreational marijuana, those plants have a much bigger bud and flower, because that's the potent part for the THC, which is the chemical in marijuana that gets you high. That's what you get stoned from, right? So that heavy concentration, they're growing the plant to get the biggest bud and the biggest flower that they can, because that's what's going to get you the best high. Okay. Now, marijuana plants are relatively low in comparison in CBD. So they're high in THC and much lower in CBD. And a hemp plant is very high in CBD and much smaller in THC in terms of content. So you have the buds and the flowers, which are great. They have a lot of therapeutic benefit. They have lots of terpenes and other really good chemicals in the components in the plant. But the amount of THC is less than 1% as compared to marijuana that can be between 5 and 30%.
Oh, that's a big difference.
Very big difference. And as time goes on, the growers are getting better at maximizing that THC. It's an art form, right? It's they're farmers.
Right.
So with CBD, we use this term, I take CBD. I took my CBD day. I even say it. I took my CBD. But it's a hemp extract that has over 100 different cannabinoids. And cannabinoids, CBD is one of those 100 cannabinoids. THC is another one of those cannabinoids. And when you put all of the cannabinoids together is where you get the amazing health benefit. Okay. So let me talk about full spectrum, broad spectrum, and isolates.
Yes, please, because this is so much. There's so much more to this than I expected.
I don't want to get too technical. I have this great analogy that I've come up with. Of course, after I wrote my book.
Oh, look. So we need an update, a second edition or a second book. Okay.
Yep. When I come out with another edition, it'll have this in here. So this is how I talk about what full spectrum means according to fruit salad. Okay. I love it because we all know what fruit salad is. It's super easy to think about. So a full spectrum CBD product is the highest quality CBD product, and it has all of those cannabinoids, which we're going to call fruit. Okay, it has 100 different types of fruit. You're having guests over, and you want to have fruit salad, and you don't know your guests very well. You don't know what they want, so you're going to put everything in there so that they can come, and maybe they just want more of the melons, and they want to pull the melons out because that's what they like, or maybe they want more of the berries because that's what they like and what they need. Okay, so we have our fruit salad, which is all of the different types of CBD, and then you have your guests, and your guests are what we're going to call the receptor in our body. So in our body, we have what's called an endocannabinoid system. This is just like a respiratory system, digestive system, endocrine system. This is an
Right.
endocannabinoid system. And this was documented.
Okay. Why didn't I hear about that in health class? But okay.
Yeah, well, it only came out in the 90s that it was identified. So
Oh, well, then that was okay.
probably like that's when it was like identified. So I don't even know when they started talking about it. So it's relatively new. Like what?
Okay.
We're looking at 30 years that this is finally a known system. And all this time it's been illegal. So who talks about a body system only became legal in the last 3 years, right? In 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have our endocannabinoid system that is in our body, and we have our guests that are going to come eat the fruit salad on all their receptors on every major organ. And this is the key to why CBD works for so many different. I first started looking at CBD, I was like, you're telling me one plant can help one person with anxiety and one person with a skin condition and one person with fibromyalgia. It's just one plant. I have 100 essential oils in that cabinet over there, and I grab what I want for each thing. This doesn't make any sense. But I didn't know that we had this endocannabinoid system. So now we have our system that needs different parts of the hemp plant. So when you look at CBD, you want everything. So you want every single option of fruit for your body or your guests to come take. So I, for instance, started taking my CBD for my sciatica pain. Okay. So, and let's just say that my sciatica wanted strawberries. It wanted strawberries to help fix whatever problem it is. Even though I was eating and getting the pineapple and the kiwis and the grapes, the strawberry is what helped my sciatica kind of calm down and get all better. And as long as my system has strawberries, my sciatica doesn't go away. Now I have some other, what we'll call the side effects, right? So I'm a woman. I can be a little moody sometimes. Sometimes, I don't know, just life sometimes, I'm generally a pretty easygoing person. And I was surprised when all of a sudden I noticed that my mood is better. I handle stress better. And my energy levels are higher. So other receptors in the body that maybe it wasn't the strawberry that they needed, but it was the grapes. My energy level needed grapes, and that grapes was now available in my system. And the guest coming to the fruit bowl grabbed the grapes, and all of a sudden I had this boost of energy. And this boost of energy has lasted me 2 years. If I don't take my CBD, I noticed in the afternoon that my energy's gone.
Oh, wow.
So if you buy a product that's full spectrum, this is where you see so many people. And the number one positive side effect I hear about from people is I sleep so good on CBD. Well, the pineapple, I guess your body needed pineapple, and you didn't take it for the pineapple. You took it for the whatever else was going on. But your brain that helps with sleep and regulate your sleep needed pineapple. You didn't really know it needed it because it wasn't that bad. You make excuses. I'm getting older, or I have young kids, or whatever. And boom, you're all of a sudden getting this component in your body that you didn't know you needed, and your body was craving it. It gets it, and now all of a sudden you're sleeping better. So the number one positive side effect I hear, and I call them positive side effects because it is a side effect of taking it, and it's positive. Oh my gosh, this is great. So that's where if you have everything available, you don't know what your body needs that you're either not paying attention to, or it just isn't so bad that you need something, but you could feel better by taking it, by making it available. So the term broad spectrum is instead of full spectrum that has everything from root tip to leaf tip, it has everything in the bottle. It's missing 1 or 2 or 10 or 15 or 50 things. You don't know what's missing. So a couple things, that there's parts of the plant that are more common and easier and cheaper to process, like the stalks and the leaves. They're not so sometimes somebody can make a CBD product just out of that. It's broad spectrum. I've seen it on some labels, stalks and leaves, but it's missing all of the other good stuff that's found in the buds and the flowers. So we have to be really careful about what it is that's in our bottle. So it could have CBD in there, but it could be missing stuff. And then if you want to go look at lab results to go check for 100 different components, that's tough. So a
Yeah.
reputable company that says it's full spectrum is the best thing that you're going to be able to do, because when it
Okay.
comes to broad spectrum, you just don't know what's missing in the fruit salad. You don't know. Now, isolate is where this is like the plot thickens, because an isolate is just one, iso being one in chemistry,
Yeah.
and it's the main CBD that cannabidiol, which is what CBD stands for, that we all talk about. So you can go buy a bottle, and if it doesn't say full spectrum on it, it's possible that it just has one. So now you have people who are like, I've tried CBD and it doesn't work. But maybe you got strawberries and you needed pineapple. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so
why would you take the ISO? Does it get so specific that you know which one goes for what thing?
They are getting more specific. Yes,
okay.
They're getting there. Okay. I have two opinions on this. One is, and you're going to have different amounts, because the plant naturally has variations in, like cannabidiol, the main CBD, is the most prolific. That's why it got its nickname as CBD, even though there's CBDA, CBDV, there's all these different components, right? So it gets very confusing.
Okay.
So the reason people take isolates, and the other problem with an isolate, and it's why it's my least favorite choice, is not only did they get rid of the THC and everything else, they got rid of the trichomes and the flavonoids and the other parts of the plant that's actually the same stuff that makes an essential oil effective. That's gone too. So an isolate is my least favorite option. And I've seen some big companies adopt an isolate because I think they're a little worried about the legality of the THC in it, even though they still won't guarantee there's no THC, and they will not guarantee that you might not pass a drug test. Okay, so an isolate probably has the least chance of getting a positive on a drug test. So people who have jobs that rely on being able to pass a random drug test, they're a little bit more hesitant to take the other products, which is fair. There's a couple things that one of the things I love about let's talk about THC. Okay, so THC in large amounts will get you high, toxic to dogs. Okay, so important things.
Okay.
But your receptors, the guests at your party, if you take your fruit salad and you put it in the closet, they're not going to know that that's where the fruit salad's hidden. And the THC is able to guide your guests to the fruit salad. So when you take a product that has no THC in it, and even the product I use that's trace amounts. So ours, the product I use, the lab results are 0.0%. And it's actually, I think now they've changed the lab results because there is a small amount of THC, and they want to be very clear to the clients, which I'm glad about because it's the product I represent.
Okay, right.
0.002%. So we're talking about 0.002% of THC. Very small amount in it, but it's important because it's going to help wake up my receptors so that they can take and use the CBD. The product I use can take a few days before your body before it kicks in.
Okay, so let me clarify. You need the THC, even in these very trace amounts. You need that in the oil for your body to recognize and use the CBD. Did I get that right?
I would say, I'm not going to say that the isolates are not going to work, because people do see results from them, but they may have to take more, or they have to take it longer before they feel and see the result. So now I do have some clients that are recreational THC intakers. Yeah. And because THC stays in your body for 30 days, when they take my product, they notice the effects near immediately, because their body is primed up with a lot of THC in it.
That makes sense. Okay.
So it's just interesting because the stigma around THC is so negative.
It really is.
And there's some.
I know why, but ridiculous. But
Yeah. So I think that we're starting to see a change in the, in society around. I mean, obviously we've legalized recreational use marijuana. So we're already, the world is in a different space, but still those of us who are nervous about it, or, I want just enough to make me feel better, but I don't want enough to get high. That kind of concept is definitely there too. And I had to get through it myself. So I first started taking it for my sciatica. I was taking 8 milligrams a day. So I take my 8 milligrams for 3 days. I was told 3 to 4 days and you'll know if it's working or not. And if not, then you increase your dose, because your body's never had this. And we'll talk about the history in just a minute. It's super interesting. My body hasn't had it. It doesn't really know what to do with it. So you got to give it some time. And maybe 8 milligrams isn't enough to touch this nasty sciatica. Maybe I need more, right? So you have to kind of work through that. So I take it for 3 days, and the nervous, concerned mom takes the bottle and I just shove it aside. Like, I'm not going to worry about this right now. I just can't deal with it. Like, I'm going to live. I'll see the doctor. It didn't work, trying to talk of it. Right. And then, the sciatica keeps going, and I'm like, okay, forget it. I'm taking it again. I'm going to take it. And now I up my dose to 16 milligrams a day. And on the second day of taking 16 milligrams, the sciatica was completely gone.
Oh, wow.
Completely gone. It's never come back. And then I've ended up increasing my dose a couple times here and there, up to 33 milligrams a day with the kids. My back, I didn't realize it, but I upped the dose just to see. I always tell people, go to the next dose to see how you feel, because maybe you needed a little bit more pineapple to help with, whatever's going on, and your body isn't getting quite enough because it's still not concentrated in certain areas and more concentrated in other areas, because not all CBD is equally concentrated in the plant. So it's not going to be equally concentrated in the bottle, right? So maybe there's some other side benefit that I'll get from increasing it. So I increased it for a couple weeks, really just to, I like to practice what I preach, and I tell all of my clients, take it and take the extra dose. And I realized, okay, I haven't even done that. So I'm going to up to the 33 milligrams. And I did it for a couple of weeks, and I'm like, you know what? I don't really feel any better. So I stopped, and I woke up the next morning. I'm like, wow, didn't realize how much my back was bothering me, picking up my, at the time they were in the 25 and 30 pound ranges. Mm-hmm. And so I stuck with the 33 milligrams since then. And every so often I'll take a little less, or if I miss a dose, I also notice, my husband and I both, if one of us is tired at 2:00, the first thing we say to each other is, did you take your CBD? And it's like, oh man, I forgot this morning. I raced out the door. So yeah, it's been a real big game changer. It's really helped us in our life. I'm able to keep up with my kids. I sleep better. Now I'm somebody who I kind of double whammy it. I sleep pretty good with my essential oils, but I do notice if I miss my CBD, I don't sleep quite as deep. It's not quite as good. Maybe it's just that I'm using both together. But yeah, it's been a beautiful blessing. So the history.
Yeah, you're going to go to the history.
Yeah, so CBD and THC and whatnot, our bodies haven't had it for a long, long time unless you were a marijuana user, right? Well, back in it's 1937, prior to 1937, so let's talk about hemp for a second. Hemp plants are easy to grow, have fantastic yields, and was a very popular plant to grow for our livestock. So they used to feed chickens, goats, cows. They all got hemp as their main food source, and up until 1937 when it was outlawed. And what happens is, what is that saying? We are what we eat, right? So what happens with the plants, or the plant has the chemical constituents that have these great health benefits, and the animals are eating it, and it's getting locked up into the products that we eat. So the milk, the cheese, the eggs, all of that we were eating. We were actually supplementing our body with CBD. Okay. So just
as a byproduct of, wow. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, and I don't know, and supposedly also a lot of like aspirin or whatnot had CBD in it prior to 1937. So they knew that there were health benefits to it. I just don't know, it might not have been as prolific, so to speak. And this was all pre-opioids, right? And the opioids started to come out around the same time that this was made illegal. So they make it illegal. It comes out of any kind of, the prescription aspirins and whatnot. It goes away there. And we're no longer supplementing our bodies with CBD through the food that we're eating. And they shifted everything over to wheat and soybean and all that kind of stuff. And we've gone 70 some odd years, 80 years with no way to supplement our bodies with CBD. So when we get started, if you're not a recreational marijuana user, or it's been 30 years since you've enjoyed trying, for those that, it's just been a long time, your body doesn't really know what to do with it. And now that, once you start supplementing your body, then, because I know there've been a couple times where, like, I went on vacation, I didn't have I left the CBD on the counter. I went 3 or 4 days without it. I wasn't super happy about it, but it's like, what am I going to do? I'll just wait till I get home. Not a big deal. When you go back to taking it, your body kind of knows what to do, picks up where it left off, and I don't ever feel a difference. I never feel like it takes a few days for me to ramp back up.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I don't want to do the research for other companies' brands, because there is so much bad product out there that I'll skip it for a few days versus trying to figure out another brand. And also the dispensaries are a little complicated. A lot of times you have to have prescriptions, or the other thing too, in California, there's a 25% tax on everything that's purchased out of a dispensary. So,
holy cow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So I'm assuming you get yours online. Is that how?
I do. I order my online through Love It First Drop. Okay. I order all mine. It comes every month. My husband prefers the capsules. That's just what he prefers. He kind of goes with his other morning supplements that will just pop his CBD at the same time.
That's cool.
I prefer the drops, because I don't know why I like the drops. I guess I feel like I'm getting the most out of my money.
Profit, yeah. So they do come in different delivery systems. You have the drops, the capsules.
Yeah. So that's a good thing to talk about, because we also have the salves. That's like you take the top off and it's a cream. This kind of a beeswaxy application. So the drops are my favorite for people, because you get the best absorption rate. It doesn't have to go through your digestive system. So I feel like, especially too, sometimes it's like, well, I don't want to take 2 gummies or bite a gummy and a half. Like I feel like you can get the exact daily intake right when you're using the bottle. Like you figure out, I want a dropper and a half. That's what works for me. Because all of them, they only come in so many different broken down in terms of the intakes, and you can really flex with this one. So like, when COVID hit, it's antiviral, it increases your immunity. I started taking more. So I just took a few extra drops, and, just to help increase my immune system.
Right. Wow.
So that's the difference between the edibles that you eat that goes through your digestive system and the drops. But the salves, people ask me all the time about the salve, and my opinion, first of all, the molecules of, like where you're applying this on your skin, the molecules have a very hard time penetrating and getting into the bloodstream. So you're just treating, like if you have arthritis in your hand or your wrist, you're just treating this acute area. You're not really feeding the receptor.
Gotcha.
Like your organ receptor that deals with the pain isn't actually getting soothed. You're just applying it here, and it does feel better. So if I was on my feet all day, I'll put it on my feet before bed. I've gotten in a car accident since I've been on CBD, and I'll use it. I'll take it for a massage, and I'll give it to the massage therapist to finish the massage off with it, to get it in. I'll put it on my neck. If I sleep on my neck, funny, I'll use it. But this is not my go-to product. And people who use this as their main product and have pretty severe problems. First of all, very few companies, my company happens to have 1,000 milligrams. There's 1,000 milligrams of CBD in this tiny little thing. Most of them in this size are in the 100, 150 range. So you're not really getting much even onto your skin. So the higher numbers, again, Love It First Drop has great salve products that are, and pain creams that are 1,000 milligrams. Wow. But what I'm finding is people are like, oh, I feel like I have to apply it like 3 and 4 times a day. So you're going to just go through this so fast. Yeah. Another one of my little CBD hacks is this stuff right here. I can just take a little bit if my wrist is bothering me, and I can drop a couple drops in my hand, and I can just apply it to wherever I'm sore, and you don't have to have a salve. So one of the things that I also cover in my book is that the marketing that people can do behind CBD products just kills me. Because if you get a full spectrum 1,000 milligram, you can do everything with this bottle. You know, everything else. Now, granted, this product doesn't smell as good as this product. This smells better. It's made to be topically applied. Right. This one smells like plants. This one smells like lavender and peppermint that's in it. So
light a candle. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm all about, like, I worry about isolates. We talked about the isolates. It's only got that one CBD. And what a lot of companies do, and this makes me nervous because I don't trust all essential oils companies, is that they're adding essential oils into the product to give it terpenes and trichomes. So then they have, oh, here's one bottle for concentration. Here's one for sleep. Here's one for that. And they've added essential oils. Well, my product that has no essential oils in it, I can do whatever I want with it. I can add my own peppermint oil if I'm having some pain, and I can add it here. I can, I want to boost it up with a couple other things. If I want to use it for concentration, I can add whatever I want to this myself, versus trusting some other company to put an essential oil, which is also an unregulated area. How good is their essential oil? Does it have something in it that I don't want to ingest? So I feel like once you start adding essential oils, in which a lot of companies do, because it's an easy way to make it taste good. It's an easy way to market. There are essential oils work for pain, sleep, concentration, all those kinds of things. Now they're getting you to buy 3 bottles instead of just one.
Like you said, marketing. Okay.
Yeah, so that worries me. So the isolate companies, I don't know, so any company that is selling this blend for this and this blend for that, I get nervous that this is just a money grab. Like, if you have a sleep problem, just take more of the same. If I have a concentration problem, take more of the same. Now, you can always boost with those things, but I'm buying CBD. That's what I want to buy. I don't want to buy my essential oils and my CBDs.
Right.
I want.
Oh my gosh! I want the good quality CBD stuff.
Yeah. I want somebody who's focused on the best quality and teaching me how to get the result out of it. So,
talking about teaching you, I'm sure outside of the fruit salad analogy, which I absolutely love, I'm sure your book has all these references and information that people can go and use to learn how to use CBD, right?
Yeah, so I wrote my book, and I on purpose, let me get the angle right. I on purpose made it thin. Nice. This book you can get through in an hour to 2 hours, depending on how fast of a reader you are. It's 52 tips using CBD for your health and wellness. And you can see here, it's starting page, what's this section, page 45. So starting with tip number 35, this 35 and on is all client testimonials of all the different people who come back and reported the successes that they've had. That's what the last part of the book is. So you can see tips 1 through 34. That's not that many tips. This is going to arm you up as a really educated shopper. It's going to tell you if you're shopping for drops, or if you're shopping for the pain cream, if that's what you want. It teaches you about what THC is. It talks to you about what the difference between hemp and marijuana is. It gets into the legality. It gets into safety. It gets into just enough so that when you walk in somewhere or you're online and you're searching, you know what to look for. And then also, I always tell people, come visit me. I have a online Facebook group called Thriving by Nature. I'm in there. I'm happy to chat with anybody. My website, loveatfirstdrop.com, has a tremendous amount of educational information. And then the book is $10 for hard copy. It's $2.99 for the Kindle version on Amazon.
Oh my gosh.
And you just type in 52 tips CBD and it'll come up.
It'll come right up. Fabulous. You've got your book, you've got your Facebook group, and you've got your website. Those are the best places for people to find you. And everybody listening, I'm going to have links in the show notes. So if you didn't get them, you'll be able to find them there and get directly to her, because wow, I mean, that's such an amazing resource. And for you to put everything together in such an easily readable and referenceable form for everybody, because I mean, it's just hard to, piecemeal everything.
It was one of those things that I wrote the book kind of for me to be able to help people better. And when I'm like, okay, I'm going to, work with the publisher, let me get it on Amazon. And I knew that it was a definitely needed resource when it hit Amazon #1 bestseller in the first 4 days. And I was like, oh my God, I picked something together that people really want. So it was exciting. It was very exciting.
Okay, so first of all, congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Clearly people do need it. So, oh my gosh, listeners, go get this book. I mean, if you have any questions, this is definitely the resource you need.
Yes.
So Lizzy Renee, what do you see in the future for you? What's coming up next besides your second edition, so you can add your fruit salad analogy, because that's fabulous.
What's next for me? I'm moving into a stage where I'm just really, my husband and I have another brick and mortar business, and we're really looking to grow that. So I think, that's probably, I would say, my focus, which is a little different than what we're doing, but it's to help him. I've got a lot of technical experience. He's very operational. So I'm going to use some of my technical experience and some of what I've gone through in regards to the world of marketing CBD, and start using that to help our brick and mortar business to grow. So that's my next chapter. But I'm always, in terms of like my space, I'm always watching the health and organic type world, just to make sure that I'm staying healthy and keeping my family healthy, and keeping myself alive for a very ripe, healthy, long age. I'm gonna be that old lady kicking and screaming, piss and vinegar at 95, and she's still driving. Oh my God!
It. And they'll say, "My gosh, what's your secret to living for so long?" You'd be like, "Yeah, people."
Yeah. CBD and just general good health. So that's definitely my focus. And, my kids are starting to, one of them is going to be back into school, and getting through COVID is my initial one. Like, okay, I'm ready to get through COVID and move on so we can go back to living again. So.
Oh my God, I so agree with you there. Well, thank you so much for your time. I've learned so much in just this short amount of time. I'm going to go back and listen to it again. Oh my gosh. And get your book, and everybody get her book. I mean, you don't need to be afraid of this stuff. It's so good for you. It's so
healthy. Don't need to be afraid.
Drop the stigma. Educate yourself. That's what we need. That's we just educate and just. Oh my gosh, I'm babbling now. I know that, but it's just it's
a good babble
topic, and it's going to be so wonderful for everybody. So once again, Lizzy Renee, thank you so much for your time and being here and sharing yourself and your knowledge with the Pink Lifestyle family. And to everybody else, thank you for being here. And until next time.
Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thank you for listening to the Pink Lifestyle Podcast. Again, you can reach me on my website, KarenKBannister.com, or email pinklifestylepodcast@gmail.com. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and others, and on social channels including Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Pinterest as Pink Lifestyle Podcast. Congratulations on starting your journey. Please share this with your friends and family, and focus on creating your own pink life. Until next time.